So let's go back to women not wanting to be accountable for not being able to keep a man.
The big talk right now is like, oh, women are so masculine. Oh, why are women so masculine? Women are masculine because they feel like they had to be masculine. So like a lot of women are like, even right now, relevant to right now, Krishan Rock is like, oh, I'm not gonna wear feminine gear because I'm gonna start wearing masculine gear because I have to wear men gear because I have to be the father and the mother for this kid, right? It's very relevant because a lot of women feel like they had to be both roles. It'd be like, oh, Father's Day comes around. You give me the Father's Day's card, right? I've known women who get Father's Day's card from their children. And so it's just like women who feel like they have to play both roles. So what happens is when you're here and you have to play both the masculine and the feminine role, imagine what that's like. By the way, it's such a hard conversation to have with people. But as a clinician, you try to process it and figure it out with the client, right? And for them, they're very proud. Like they're very proud of that moment where their like child is giving them a Father's Day card because like they're playing that role. And like in my personal process, I can't relate to that. And I'm just like, that's not okay. That you have to play both roles and you're so hardened by your situation and you're so hardened by the situation that it impacts your relationships, right? Because no matter what, you're still a woman. You're still a woman and you still want connection. And this is the conundrum that people end up feeling in these circumstances, right? So they have children and they're like playing both roles where they're like, I have to be the dad and the mom, right? But then you want a man to come in and like take over for you to be a woman, but you can't relinquish that because you're so used to being that man and taking control and being hard. It's hard for women. And by the way, not all men should be able to have that from you, but it's a tough business. I'm just like, my guy, personally speaking, it's very hard because I don't have that experience in terms of personal experience where it's just like, I can empathize. Like, damn, that's tough though, my guy. Where it's just like, you want to be multiple, you want to exist in multiple spaces at the same time, and you cannot.
What happens when the mother makes the son play the role of the man in her life? Is that common?
Child, okay, I wanted to tell you about this because this is a thing. We're going to talk about it real quick. We're going to talk about emotional incest, which is a real thing. So emotional incest is a real thing. It's like, you know how like there's a new word every now and then, but I've been knowing about this. Emotional incest is a real situation that is, the word is emerging, but it's been happening for a while. So here's the thing with women who raise boys and men without a father in the picture. They end up having this connection with their sons, where their sons end up filling this void in their lives that take the place of that partnership. And so what ends up happening is that son meets a woman where like appropriate, right? The son meets a woman. When they meet the girl who they ready to wife up, the mom be like, hold up, wait a minute. And it'd be like problematic because the mom then, this is called the Electra Complex. Those who know, Electra Complex. So what ends up happening is the mom is like, oh, he's serious about this one. So my position as the number one woman in his life is now threatened. And so she starts acting out, and acting out looks so different for so many different women, right? Like some women have themselves together. There's like a little bit of passive aggressive. A lot of them are very much more verbal. And it's just like, ma'am, I'm gonna need you to hold on and work out your shit, because I'm with your son. And you're gonna have to step out the picture and know that your son is all right. Like, bruh, Alan. Emotional incest. Obviously, we'll draw the line at like physical incest, but you want your son to take the place and fill the void of a partnership for a man in your life. And so what happens is he takes that role where it's like, oh, this is my partner in a sense, because he feels that void where we're going out, we're doing things, it's male energy, right? And then what happens is another woman comes into the picture, right? She's threatening your position. It's like, who does hoe, right? But you can't reconcile it because you're his mom.
Does that play the same role when fathers are overprotective over their daughters?
Right. So that's what I said. That's the electrical complex, and you have the Oedipus complex. It's different, right? And so that's what I'm saying like mom, but like in our community, moms struggle with that. Moms struggle with relinquishing the role of who the woman and the primary person in that man's life is going to be. Because for so long, and it's often, by the way, in healthy dynamics where the mom is married and the mom is in a happy relationship with their partner, this doesn't happen. When the mom is married and in a healthy dynamic with their partner, this doesn't happen. However, and it's usually with the firstborn, it's usually with the firstborn son, where it's like there's this situation where it's like your son takes the role of your partner, and then the lines get convoluted because it's like they're taking on that role of being your son. They're your son, but they're also your like companion, partnership, and situation. And then so somebody comes in outside of that, and it's like it's threatening to you. So you start acting out like, oh, you better get your life together.
So let's talk about women who do the work and they feel that they are deserving of a good man.
So when I hear that people are like, oh, I'm well-rounded, I'm good, I have a great job, I've done the work with myself, yada, yada, yada. Why can't I find someone? Because you have a sense of an entitlement. Like whenever somebody tells me I've done the work, I've done the work. If you telling me I've done the work and I've done this and I've done that, that means you have a sense of entitlement. If you think the work is linear, it's not. It's always ongoing. You're always working on it. You're always working on yourself. You're always trying to progress. You're always trying to figure it out. And so whenever somebody says that, I'm like, ooh, it's probably you. It's probably you.
I want to move on to this video that's kind of been a little bit everywhere, where it says most women have a backup plan, 50% of them.
If you were in a relationship, should you really have a backup plan? There is new research that shows half of all women have a guy on the back burner just in case things go wrong in their current relationship. Physician and national mindful living expert Dr. Romy Mushtaq is here to talk more about that. Dr. Romy, seriously?
Good morning, Tom. I know, and I
Come
feel
on,
like
this sounds positively guy.
guy, doesn't it? And I have to sit here and defend all of us women, but this is the latest psychology research. I was just as shocked reading this data. More than half of women who are married,
Happily married women are doing this?
have a backup plan. And what is a backup plan? It means you have someone on the back burner.
So a
like
specific person
a
they've
specific
identified.
person that they've identified, and in most cases it was either an ex-boyfriend or an old friend who never made it to the dating category.
Get out of town.
Unfortunately, yes. And the problem is social media has just made it too easy to have such a type of behavior.
Right.
Wait, am I continuing this? Oh, yeah. When someone doesn't feel secure, by the way, it's probably not about you. And that's the part we're not going to talk about. Like, we're going to say, I think it's like 50% of people have a backup plan. And more than likely, it's not even about the partner, the current partner. It's about you and your own issues and your challenges and difficulties feeling secure in a relationship. So it comes from your own issues where you need a backup plan so that you can exist. Right? And so what happens is it's like, so I want to like have a good life. And so in order for me to do that, I want to have this relationship, which is probably fulfilling and is really good. But I have my own stuff. I have my own issues. So I need to have a backup plan for me to feel secure in my current relationship. It's almost like overdraft protection. That's really what it is. It's overdraft protection. That's really what it is. And we're like, I hate to say what it is. You're trying to secure a feeling because you have unresolved issues within yourself that you've never dealt with. And so you're going out in the world and you're quote unquote high functioning. And so you're trying to have some overdraft protection because you believe that if I have this overdraft protection in the back, if this person disappoints me when I know they will disappoint me, right? Because you set it up in your mind where they will disappoint you, that I have something to fall back on. Like, people will do things to reaffirm a belief system. But this is the crazy part, right? So it's been a while. Like, I'm doing research for 8 at the table. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, we're talking about narcissism. So I was just like, I just wanted to see the data, right? I was like, oh, what is the rate of like clinically narcissism? Oh, it's like 0.5 because narcissistic personality disorder is under research. So there's not a lot of like research, right? So it's like 0.5 to 5%. That's a really big number, 0.5 to 5. I was like, oh, that's all right. I was like, okay, what does depression disorder look like in the US, right? Oh, depression disorder looks like about 9.5%. 9.5%. I was like, oh, okay, 9.5% of the population in the US struggle with depression, right? Then I was just like, I looked at different ones. I'm not going to get into it because the rate was like unexpected to me. Anxiety disorder is at 32%. So when you're saying 32% of people in the United, like, yo, I don't think people understand what 32%. Did you hear me? I said 0.5% first of all, borderline personality disorder. Like, the rate is so low. Bipolar disorder, like anxiety disorder is at 32%. Those are astronomical numbers. Like, I don't think people realize like what that means. That means 32% of almost 300 million people struggle with anxiety. And these are people who are high functioning. These are people who are in position that make decisions that affect your life. These are people who are, you're going to them as healthcare providers. You're going to them like these. That's a lot of people. Anxiety disorder is like insane and so prevalent and so pervasive in this country. Like, bro, 32%. That means it's guaranteed that like, or someone struggling with anxiety disorder. Anxiety is impacting all of us in a way that it's impacting our behavior to the point where I don't feel secure. And so I don't feel secure, it's going to impact my behavior, right? So if I don't feel secure, it impacts my behavior. It's going to impact how I interact with you. So when I interact with you, and God forbid you're looking for some security, right? And I'm anxious. So what happens is, like, I'm looking for security in you. You're looking for security in me. We both can't secure each other, right? So now we're both engaging and acting out behavior. So how can we have a relationship, but we both want a healthy relationship because the internet said we should? So we both should like have healthy relationships. Like we both, by the way, we both have unresolved issues. We both have not reflected on our own individual stuff, but like keywords, communication. So like, let's figure out how to communicate. And we don't even really know how to communicate. We know how to say words to each other. So we're going to say words to each other and we think that's communication. And that's really not communication. That's just saying words to each other. And so what you end up having is a hodgepodge of bad relationships. And like people are just like, yeah, keywords, yeah. And it's just like a fucking horrible situation happening. And then the internet is here like, yeah, effective communication. And it's like, dude, it don't work that way. You want a healthy relationship? Do you really want a healthy relationship? I'm going to tell you how to get a healthy relationship. It begins with one thing: true self-reflection. Start with yourself. This is the conversation nobody wants to have. Everybody wants to talk about other people. It's not about no one else. It's about you. More than likely, you're the problem. I'm being honest. More than likely, you're the problem. But you're not okay to come to terms with that. And that's fine. That's fine. You're not ready, and that's fine. But the problem is you will never have a healthy relationship until you're ready to be like, I'm an active participant in all the relationships that didn't work out. He's not a narcissist. You're the problem. Why are you picking narcissists? Did you ever think about that? Like, did we, like women who are like, he's a narcissist, but you're with him and you were with him for 5 years. Did you ever think about that? Why were you with a narcissist, quote unquote, which he probably isn't? Why were you with him for 6 years? Like, this is the thing that people have a hard time with. And until you're ready to get to the space where you're like, I don't care about him. I don't care about her. I care about, like, what am I doing? How am I the architect that is building the life that I want? And what am I doing? You always gonna mess up. There comes a point where we have to get, like, men and women, we have to take ownership of the choices we make. And you have two choices. The choices we make and be cool with it, or the choices we make and move on. That's it. That's really it. Those are the two options. You have a choice. Oh, I made this choice. Oh, okay. Let me make the best of it. Let me try to figure it out. hustle, figure it out, build with him, whatever. Like, let's figure it out. Cool. Boom, boom, boom. I have the endurance. I have the ability. I have the stamina. I have the resiliency. I will go the long mile with this person. And by the way, this person has the ability to go the long mile with me because he might tap out. That's the reality. He may not have it with you. Or tap out. Tap out. He ain't with you. You ain't with him. You're not for each other. Now, if you have a bebe, like, you got to figure it out. You have a what? Bebe. A baby. You have a bebe. You have a bebe. Like, you got to figure it out. And tough business because, like, you have a whole nother human life. If a man is more hurt because a woman has a backup plan, more than likely it impacts his like ego. Because, break it down, if I may. Because a woman who is secure will not have a backup plan. She won't. If she's secure, she just won't. She knows what it is. She knows what's good. Like, she's good. Like, she just is like a comfy little bed. She just not. Like, she just won't. Like, you guys sent me that. And it said like something like 70% of women have a backup plan. I couldn't relate. Like, I legit couldn't relate because I was just like, no. And I'm ready for the argument. But I'm like, no, that's not true. Most women don't because I cannot relate. So when a woman is like cozy, which is dangerous,